Hong Kong proudly calls itself the gateway to Asia, and despite our city being one of the freest ports in the world, many chefs choose to open in Singapore first.
Janice chatted to Clift from Singapore's Tippling Club when he was at the Mo Bar to see how different Singapore is from Hong Kong in terms of its dining scene and how it's changed in the 6 years that he's been there.
Singapore, I mean, 6.5 years ago when we first opened the restaurant, people would complain that the drinks were too strong and the food was slightly strange. I think it's changed now in the last 3 years. Now there is a massive respect for the cocktail world, mixology, if you want to call it that, and dining as a whole. You know, really, there is at least another 10 restaurants now cooking very progressive avant-garde cuisine. I mean, 3 of us are all in the top 50 restaurants. And now the appreciation of Singaporeans has changed a lot, especially with drinks, when it comes to the drink culture. Now we tend to see a lot more Singaporeans ordering very hard liquor cocktails, you know, Sazeracs, Old Fashions, Negronis. So there's definitely an appreciation, you know. They're very quick to try to understand something when they get it, you know, whereas I think there's already the appreciation in Hong Kong.
Well, I would contest that, but but great. That's great to know that they're embracing it. So, what do you think about the cost of eating out in Singapore? Are people willing to shell out for a special meal?
Yeah, yes and no. You know, once again, the old concept of why would I pay $480 for dinner when I can spend $3.50 on an entire plate this big of chicken rice, you know? So, but once again, that's changing, or has already changed. I mean, there is a lot of wealth in Singapore, but also Singapore sees a massive pilgrimage of food tourists from all around the world. You know, Singapore's really been recognised in the last 3 years on a global scale, as Hong Kong was maybe 6 years ago when Michelin first started here, or 6-7 years ago. So now there are a lot of people coming to the country that are prepared to spend money. They're there specifically to eat, but also the local market is definitely embracing fine dining. But now there's a very interesting influx of mid-end restaurants. Before there was only high-end or hawker. Now there's the middle bracket, which is becoming quite popular in Singapore. Sort of your bistro sort of concepts and so on. So yeah, it's interesting. But I mean, the price of meals vary. Unfortunately, Singapore has no produce of its own. Everything is imported, which comes taxes, which comes everything. You know, so unfortunately, the cost of ingredients are very high in Singapore. That has to be reflected in the to the customer, unfortunately. I mean, we try to keep it as low as possible, but yeah, it's tough.
So recently there's been an increase in alcohol tax in Singapore. Has that affected you in any way?
No, not really. I think we haven't changed the prices of our menu. At the end of the day, everyone panicked and freaked out. Oh my God, it was 25% or something stupid. It was like, holy, you know, wow. So, but when you really reflect it into a cocktail, it's about 20 cents. Sometimes 10 cents. A bottle of wine is a couple of dollars. We're not gonna add that on. You know, I'm not gonna put a drink on the menu for $22.30. You know, so what's the point? So we're just bearing the cost. But there are a few very cool companies. I mean, there's a company in Singapore called Proof, who are bringing in the products at a much better price than everybody else. You know, so. About 2 years ago when they set up their company, a lot of people switched to using them so we could actually reduce the price of the cocktails. Everyone complains drinks are very expensive in Singapore, unfortunately, so yeah. But
do you think people are willing to pay a bit more for something a bit more that's specialised, you know, specialty ingredients or specialty liquors and things like that?
Yeah, I think, like I said, the appreciation of fine dining is finally there. So people are prepared to come out and try it. I mean, it's nice to see not only our food tourists that come back every year to dine in the restaurant, but also the locals that are dining with us 3 times in a month. You know, so we get a lot of repeat customers. We're always refreshing the menu, so we have to keep them interested. You know, but it's good. I think there is definitely a good quantity of locals that are prepared to pay, but they're paying for what they get. They get quality.
Yeah, great. Well, thank you, Ryan.
Cheers. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Cheers.